Hello, so welcome to episode 2 of my foundation series, and in today's Buyer Beware, we are going to be talking about the CoverFX Power Play Foundation. Now, if you are wondering why I'm wearing the same sweater and pretty much the same makeup as in my last episode, it's because I'm filming all of these outros and intros on the same day. I'm just switching up my lip color so that I don't get totally confused with all the thumbnails and the footage. So yeah, that's my little insider secret for you, but it's not really a secret because I'm telling you about it. Anyway, like I said, today we're going to be talking about the CoverFX Power Play Foundation. I thought I would just mention it because you're going to be seeing basically 5 episodes of me looking like this at the beginning and the end. But because I did test these foundations quite a while ago for weeks at a time, at least you'll see something different in the middle. Anyway, before I show you guys the application and wear test, I thought I would give you a bit of a background on the foundation. So like I said, this is the Power Play Foundation from CoverFX. I don't really know how many foundations that they have, but I know that they have come out with a lot in the past and then they've been discontinued and then they re-released or released new foundations. This is probably one of the best foundations I've ever tried from CoverFX. And that is saying a lot because CoverFX comes out with some really great products. This is $56 at Sephora, so it's kind of mid-range in terms of price point, and it's 1.18 fluid ounces, so 35 milliliters. It's like 5 milliliters more than your typical foundation size, because typically foundations are like 1 fluid ounce or 30 milliliters. This is supposed to have a modern matte finish, and when I was trying to even figure out what modern matte meant, in my mind, it's basically a matte that's not drying. That's what I classify as a modern matte. And this is cruelty-free, which is also really great. This is also geared towards normal to oily skin types, which I'm kind of like right in the middle. I have a combination. So I actually, well, spoiler alert, really love this foundation. I am in the shade G50 Plus, and there's probably a few different shades that I could have fallen in with, but this is the one that I thought suited me best at the time, and I picked this up, I think, in the spring or the summer, so I wasn't really at my fairest and I wasn't at my deepest, but I just thought it was a really nice shade match. I did write down the description for what the G50 Plus is supposed to be, because I do have a G50, so the Plus is supposed to be, I think, for more olive skin tones, but I could be wrong. So the description is medium tan olive with golden undertones. So like I said, I typically gravitate towards medium, golden, olive. If those are in the description, I figure it will suit me pretty well. The packaging for the Power Play Foundation is also nice. At first I thought, oh, why didn't it come with a pump? I think I would have really liked the pump, but this squeezy tube nozzle situation works pretty well also. I was also really concerned that because this doesn't really have a lot of give to it, that it would be difficult to squeeze out product, but it hasn't been the case. Anyway, with that said, let's go to the application and wear test. This is my skin after skincare and a layer of SPF. I am a little shiny just because of the skincare and the moisturizer I was wearing. Going in with the Tatcha Silk Canvas Primer again. So with the primer on, I'm going to take the CoverFX Power Play Foundation in the shade G plus 50. And I usually dot this all over my face and then I spread it out with a sponge. I don't find that it works quite as well with a brush. I feel like it's just because it dries so quickly. It is more of a, I think they call it a modern matte, but it's more of a matte foundation. So you do have to act quickly with this foundation, and I just find having a sponge helps. I apply a little bit at a time just because, again, very quick setting base, so I don't like to apply too much at once. And then I'm using the Real Techniques Miracle Complexion Sponge to push that into the skin. I really want to try the big body version of this sponge, but I haven't been able to find it in store. So I do find that with one coat of product, it does cover a lot of the redness pretty well. I do still see some of my dark spots peeking through, so I'm just going to do a second layer. Typically, I don't even bother doing a second layer, but for the purpose of this review, we'll do a second layer and see how well that stays throughout the day. My problem areas are really just my cheek and my forehead. That seems like my whole face, but my blemishes are really concentrated in those areas. So that's typically where I just add more product and then try to feather it out. So I'll bring you guys in a little closer just so you can see. It definitely, with the second layer, covers a lot of the hyperpigmentation up better. The redness was reduced after one layer, but if you really want to go for more of a fuller coverage, you have to add the second layer. I typically stop at one, but really just depends on the day, I guess. Okay, I'm going to do the rest of my face, starting with concealer, perhaps a bit of powder, and then all the other accoutrements, and then I'll come back. So this is the finished look. If you're wondering what I'm wearing, it is the Glossier Wowder in light medium, just kind of under the eyes and on the T-zone. Still loving and using the Fenty bronzer in Island Ting, which is this beautiful matte bronzer. No blush, but highlighter is the Glossier Play Niteshine in deep copper, which is beautiful. For lips, I'm using the Lancome L'Absolu Lacquer in 216. I believe this is called Rose Story. And then mascara is the Unlimited mascara from L'Oreal in the waterproof version. I do have the non-waterproof version, and this one transfers a lot on me. And for brows, I have been using lately the Anastasia Dipbrow Gel. This is in Granite, I believe the darkest shade. And I do like how it looks, but it's very messy to apply. Let me know if you guys have that same experience. A little closer look at the makeup. Now everything is sitting really nicely. I do find that there's a little bit of creasing here. Not so much that the product is building up, but I just feel like my fine line here is just a little bit more accentuated than normal, but I feel like that's probably because I did 2 layers around this area, so it's just the product building. Typically, if I do 1 layer, it doesn't accentuate the fine lines there as much. I'm not sure if you guys can see, but there is product building up on my eyelids already. Yeah, I just have like really oily eyelids, so that never surprises me. I usually just like push it back in. Okay, so I will check in with you guys in a few hours. Okay, it's been about 5 hours since I put this base on, and it still looks pretty good actually. It hasn't creased in my fine lines, a little bit right after application, but it hasn't creased throughout the day. My eyelids are a bit oily, as you can see, but again, I just kind of smush that back in. It's all good. Other than that, there has not been too much movement in the base. Nothing here, nothing under the eyes, and my skin still feels really nice and smooth actually. So also to note, no makeup has transferred on my collar, and I did bring the foundation about here, not all the way down the neck, but just kind of where my jaw is, which kind of hits the color. But yeah, no makeup transfer, which is pretty impressive. Hello, it is the end of the evening. It is almost 8 o'clock now, so I've actually had this base on for about 11 hours. It's like 10 hours and a bit. The beau and I are actually getting ready to watch the premiere of season 8 of Game of Thrones, so I thought I would just do my final check-in now and then wash my face and get ready. This is definitely one of my favorite foundations for a good reason. As you can see, my skin is looking a little bit shiny, but definitely not as shiny as some other bases that I've tried. The CoverFX Power Play Foundation does have a more modern matte finish, and you can definitely see how, you know, my oiliness is kind of peeking through in some areas, but overall it has a really nice finish. I'm going to do a quick little blot test here on my forehead just so you can see. There is a bit of transfer, as you can see there, and a bit of oil, but honestly hasn't even soaked through the page yet, so definitely not as much transfer as some other products that I've used. So yes, my skin does still get a tad oily, but overall the finish is really nice. It's very wearable considering it was almost 11 hours of wear and 0 touch-ups. In terms of coverage, you can see that the skin is still looking great. The coverage is still really nice on the cheeks. It's hiding my redness. It's hiding most of the hyperpigmentation, and also the highlighter and bronzer still look great. There is a little bit of cakiness here on the bridge of my nose. That's where I had my glasses, and again the product just kind of pulls there. It's really easy to fix. You just kind of have to rub it back in and you're good to go, but that usually always happens on me when I am wearing my glasses, and also because my frames are a little large for my face, but it will always typically leave like a demarcation here on my cheeks. I also had some dryness here above my upper lip, but the base hasn't really moved that much on there, and I can see that it has clung on to the dry patches a little bit, but it's actually not accentuating it, which is a good thing. Overall, I think the base is sitting really nicely on the skin. It is evening out the skin tone, but it doesn't look like a mask of foundation. Also, in case you're wondering, I did change up my lip color. This is the NARS Velvet Matte Lip Pencil in Dolce Vita. Okay, let's talk about the pros and cons of the CoverFX Power Play Foundation. Now, first pro would be that it is matte. It's very true to its word, and it's also non-drying, which is surprising for a matte foundation. A lot of matte foundations that sometimes I try, it can really like suck the life out of your skin and make you look really creased and just like make your skin feel really tight. Not the case with this. So even though I can't really fully put into words what modern matte means, I would say this is it. This foundation was also very long wearing, which is great. Of course, matte foundations really tend to be like that. Minimal fading, minimal creasing, good oil control. I didn't really, find that I really had to blot throughout the day, even though I did get a little bit of oil breakthrough. It wasn't as much as some other bases that I have tried. Now, my only con about this product is that 2 layers of this can make my skin look a little bit, I wouldn't say cakey, but it does tend to settle into the fine lines. So I usually just do 1 layer of this foundation and it gives me a pretty strong medium borderline full coverage. But if I really, really wanted a full coverage, I would have to do 2 layers, and it just doesn't look good on my skin like that because I just feel like maybe my skin just has a lot of creases to it, so it tends to settle in all of those fine lines. So my final verdict of this foundation is that it's definitely a buy. I was really skeptical at first when I was considering this foundation because I thought, oh, I don't think I would like that. I typically don't gravitate towards matte finishes, but even though this is a matte finish, it's very comfortable to wear, and it's also seamless on the skin, which is great. One of the nicest compliments or best compliments I've ever gotten when wearing this foundation, and I've gotten it a few times, is actually that people compliment me on my skin. So they'll say, oh, your skin looks really good, instead of like, oh, your makeup looks good, or your foundation looks good, or, whatever you're wearing today looks good. They'll just say, oh, your skin looks good, which is obviously a really great compliment because you're thinking, oh, like my makeup looks so seamless that this person thinks that this is actually how I woke up like this morning. So that is my favorite thing about this foundation, which is why I say it's a buy. Don't be intimidated by the matte factor because, like I said, it's definitely a lot more wearable. Of course, if you do have drier skin, it's something that you should be aware about. But overall, if you have normal combination oily skin, it's definitely one to try. And because I got this at Sephora, you can always get a sample of it, which I highly, highly recommend. So that is what I think about the CoverFX Power Play Foundation. If you have tried this foundation before and you didn't like it, let me know in the comments below why. And if you do like it, let me know why you like it and also what your skin type is. If you are like me, which is I feel like the new norm for a lot of people, you tend to look at reviews before you go out and purchase a product, and I love looking at the comments and just like kind of looking for keywords like, oh, this person has combination skin, and then if they like something, then I probably will too, or vice versa if they have combination skin but they don't like something. Anyway, if you have experienced this foundation, leave your thoughts in the comments below to help others, and I hope you guys enjoyed watching this video, and I will see you in the next episode. Bye!